and when people know that you're going to be questioning somebody, be it Louis DeJoy or whoever else, is that it becomes almost like a must-see event, that people want to see. Who, like Katie Porter about to give somebody's ass today. I need to see this. This feels very bizarre to say to somebody who is as wonderful and awesome as a politician as you are, a congresswoman, I should say. Let me not undersell your title. Is like, I'm a really big fan of yours. And that's such a bizarre thing to say about an elected official. But like a lot of people, I've seen you in action and, certainly have been exposed to your brilliance. So you're somebody I'm a fan of. So I think there's a whole Katie Porter hive out here, and I'm proud to be in the hive. Does it feel kind of bizarre that that you have become a celebrity, even though your job is to obviously represent the people in your district?
Well, I think it's really good that people are aware of what is going on in Congress. So to the extent that they're watching clips of me in hearings, or they're seeing me talk about issues in a way that connects with them, that's good, because that's connecting people to government. And that's really part of the job. And I think it's part of the job that for too long, people haven't really focused on. And so I think a lot about that, having been a teacher, that part of my job is to share the information that I either have or can get, if I'm doing my job well, with the American people. And sometimes that's doing TV shows, sometimes that's doing podcasts like this, sometimes it's doing videos on Twitter or hearings. This afternoon, I somehow got talked into a cooking thing on Instagram Live, which is sure to be an utter disaster. But I think the goal is to really recognize that part of your job is to answer the questions of the American people, to help them understand what's happening in government. So the whole sort of like people wanting me to sign their t-shirt and stuff, like that part is very weird for me. I was a professor before this, which is definitely where I think smarter people go to seek obscurity, is academia. So this is a very, very different kind of setup, but I am gratified that people are connecting with their government working for them.
Well, your hearings, and when people know that you're going to be questioning somebody, be it Louis DeJoy or whoever else, is that it becomes almost like a must-see event, that people want to see. Who, like Katie Porter about to give somebody's ass today. I need to see this.
No, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about it. Like, I think it's really hard to know what you're going to get out of any given witness. And so I think you always just try to prepare as best you can. We question last on oversight. I'm the last person to go. And so, I think there's some element of having watched the witness, having seen how they react, where are their weaknesses, where are they obfuscating, where are they stonewalling, and then being able to use that information, right, to go into it.
So I know you get asked this question a lot, but certainly as a journalist, I'm fascinated by this. I saw an Instagram story that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did about how she prepares for a hearing. What is your methodology in terms of preparing for a hearing? How do you know which questions you want to ask? Like, how do you kind of make those determinations?
Yeah, Alex's Instagram story about that was wonderful, because it really peeled back the curtain for people to be able to see how we do our work. So I actually like to talk about this, and it's something that I've kind of refined over time. We start with the topic of the hearing and try to move very quickly from the topic, which is like the Postal Service, to what do we want to accomplish with this hearing, right? So we want to get DeJoy to answer this particular question, or we want to get this witness to see this problem and put public pressure on them to acknowledge this problem. So we try to move to not so much the topic, but like, what is the thesis? What is the argument or outcome that we're trying to get from the hearing? And then we'll often bat around with my staff, maybe 2 or 3 staffers will think up, because that's all I have is 2 or 3 legislative staffers. So that's the whole team on the field. And we'll come up with some ideas. Not all ideas are good. And my staff and I have that as a very conscious motto. And then we'll write questions. And we'll write answers. So we try to anticipate, what might this witness say Well, he's just going to say this long thing and we're going to run out of time and we're not going to get anywhere. We'll try to identify if there's any visual that we might be able to use to help illustrate the point. And then sometimes we'll actually do what's called a murder board, which is sort of a rehearsal hearing where I play me and they play the witness, and they take turns kind of being the witness. And so but I would say, like, for some witnesses, it's hard to know where they're going to go. Like, I really, with like Secretary Ben Carson, the Secretary of HUD, like, I didn't see him getting foreclosures confused with cookies. Like, I just didn't see that one coming. So it's also really important to sort of, I think, be quick on your feet. And I think, having been a professor teaching law school, I called on my students every day, and sometimes they didn't give great answers, or they gave great answers, but in a direction that I hadn't seen. And so you have to be able to react to that quickly.
That was a stellar moment, by the way, with you and Ben Carson. And I know you, like you said, you probably didn't expect him to respond that way. I mean, he's the housing secretary, and you're asking him essentially a pretty basic question. When moments like that happen, Representative Porter, are you thinking in your mind, holy shit, did this guy just say this? Like, what is going through your mind when somebody has kind of become unraveled in front of you? And it wasn't just him. I mean, the JP Morgan Chase CEO, it was the same thing. Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General, like, they have all become unraveled and exposed in these moments. Do you know the moment that happened?
I'm really, really focused on them. So I can't hear or see anyone else in the hearing room. It's, even if I'm live and in person, like pre-COVID, it's just me and them. And I think I often don't have, when it ends, a particular sense of it. It's more like relief. I'm sort of, the moment's over, I'm coming off the stage or whatever. And so often I'll say to my staff, like, I don't know if we got anything good. And they're like, you're blowing up on, right? Like, everyone's like going nuts. So, I think with the exchange with Mr. Carson, for example, like, I was just a little bit outraged. Like, I've been working on this issue with regard to foreclosures and REOs and blight in communities of color in California here for 10 years. I finally get my chance to try to fix it, and I can't even have a conversation with you. So I think on that one, I was a little bit more like, this is really frustrating because we're not making forward progress. I think with people like Jamie Dimon, what you hope is that exchange prompted him to think a little bit differently about the issue, and in the follow-up that there can be a conversation about what he said he's going to think about it. My expectation is that he actually is thinking about it.